And thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Buckchester. You know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today we want to get you fired up about relationships. That's right. We are going to expose the underlying reasons behind relationship issues. Now, I know, don't just think personal relationships like with your significant other. We have all types of relationships with our baristas, our doctors, our co-workers, our church members, and we're going to tackle them all. That's right. The real reason people have problems in all different types of relationships. My guests today are Gregory Wright and Aaron Cox, and they have co-written the book, Do You Really Want to Know Why I Am Not at Home? And I know that is such an intriguing title, so you know what I'm going to say. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. With that being said, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Good morning, Dr. Angela.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being on. Now, before we get started, and I didn't want to read your bios simply because when you have two people on, reading bios can be a little boring. So the question to you is this. Aaron, Gregory, who are you? What makes you you? And what has really had some of the greatest influences on creating the person that you are today?
Okay, well, this is Gregory Wright, and who I am at this point in time in my life, I'm an individual that has undergone massive changes, massive self introspection, and I've come to a point where I pretty much know who I am now. Not only that, I know what my purpose is for being here, and those are very important to me because most of my life I floundered around looking for directions and looking for what is real and what is good in life. And it was very challenging because things I didn't understand a lot of things. But now that I've come to understand myself, which is the most important thing you can do, it made everything is nice and clear now. I'm on a straight and narrow, understand exactly what I need to do.
I love that answer. Now, Aaron, what about you?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. What makes me me, probably more or less than anything else, is being honest and very genuine. And some people, they do not like someone to be to tell them how it is and to give them, a real authentic opinion. They just like to hear what they like to hear, and they like for everyone to be agreeable with them, and I don't do that. So some people will like that, some people will welcome that, but then some people they don't want that. So, but coming coming up in my childhood, just seeing so many people make mistakes over and over, and I had to learn to avoid those mistakes. And then following that, going into the military and traveling the world and seeing all walks of life and talking to all types of people, and just coming to the realization that everyone think their country is the best and think their lifestyle is the best, and being from the United States of America, I feel like this country is the best, but I have to respect everyone's opinions and values as well.
I can definitely agree with that. And it's so interesting that you say that because I was just having a conversation about that the other day, that we forget that everyone feels as strongly about where they are as we feel about where we are. So we do have to learn how to respect everyone equally and make while still making our way along the path. Now, before we get into discussing your book, I want to ask you about being an author. Is that something that you knew that you wanted to do at any other point in your life? Were you in high school and you said, oh, I just love English, literature is my life? Did it dawn on you that way, or did you realize at some particular point, we need to discuss this topic because this topic needs to be discussed?
Yeah, this is Mr. Wright again. The furthest thing from my mind was to become an author. I mean, I've gone through a whole lot of other things that I wanted to do with my life, but author wasn't even on the scene. It wasn't even on the screen. Okay, but it was just simply because of the fact that looking at situations and looking at people in their situations, having conversations with people over and over and over again throughout a 20-year period, after going through these types of situations myself and having this tremendous amount of information and just a feeling from the inside that, listen, we have to share this. I have to share this with some people, and maybe, just maybe, it can help some people have a more fruitful life without having to go through all the changes and the challenges that I see people going through every day.
I have to agree with you on that. It's just taking care of the necessities because it has to be addressed. I agree with you on that one. I agree with you on that. Now, the title of your book, I'm going to pause there since I apologize on that. Hold on. The title of your book, do you really want to know why I am not at home? I have to ask the question. Did you find that the title came to you first and you wrote around the title? Or did you discover the title out of your writing? Or did you just realize, we need something that's really jazzy and this is definitely going to get their attention? What was your thought process with the title of the book?
Well, we knew the information that we had. We had already done the research. We had already talked to people and had interviews and had years of experience. And we wanted the title to encompass and to really speak to what we wanted to say in the book. So we actually did a brainstorming session with the individuals that involved in the book, me and Mr. Cox, and there was another individual at the beginning. And this is what we came up with, and we felt very strongly that this title would speak to what is in the book.
I love the title. I think it's very intriguing, and definitely because there's someone going, yeah, I want to know what's the real reason. So congrats on an awesome title. Now, switching and talking about the book itself, what vision or aspiration did you have when it came to thinking about being in a relationship? So what vision do you have in your mind? What hopes, what aspirations do you have when it comes to being in a relationship?
Well, I'm going to let Mr. Cox take this one.
Well, you know what? I knew what I didn't want in a relationship because I kept seeing it in front of my face over and over and over again. So I knew that I didn't want to be in an unhealthy, unhappy, monotonous, stalemate type relationship, which is what I kept seeing a lot. And even to this day, my wife and I, we're very happily married, and the majority of the couples that we are around, they're very unhappy. They're very unhappy. They talk behind their partner's back, and I knew that's what I didn't want. So when we came up with this book, we sat down and we said, what are the top issues that causes men and women to be so unhappy in their relationship. And we wrote a chapter about each one of those issues from talking to hundreds of men and women from all types of life. Uh, Military folks, entrepreneurs, blue collar workers, white collar workers, no collar workers. We talk to all these folks and we combine the top 15 issues that cause them to be so unhappy. And we wrote a chapter about each one of those issues. And we not only did we talk about the issue, but we did something that I don't see a lot of books do. We gave solutions, organic solutions to those issues and to help people get to the next stage or get to a better place. And that's something that I really wanted. And matter of fact, before we wrote this book, I was dating. Wasn't married, had never been married. And my fiance and I, we walked through all these chapters together. And then we decided that after walking through these chapters together and looking at the scenarios and asking each other the complicated questions in the chapter, we knew we were ready for marriage. And we got married right after this book went out to the market.
You used a word there that I really like, and that word is solutions. That you were looking for a solution to the issue. I love that. So many times people.
Dr. Chester, if I could I say one thing on this? Yes. Listen, I've come to understand that most people, not everybody, but most people have an image in their mind how they want their life to be. Not only in their life in a relationship, but their life in general. And when things doesn't work out the way they have it pictured in their mind, especially in their relationships, is a cause for a tremendous amount of frustration. So they work tirelessly and endlessly trying to get this vision to match up with the way their life actually is going. And when it doesn't, it causes a lot of problems.
So true. So true. Now, it is almost time for us to go to break. But before we do, I want to ask you, if you would please remind everyone, what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And how do we stay in contact with you?
Yes, the title of our book is Do You Really Want to Know Why I'm Not at Home? And you can purchase the book online on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and all the online bookstores. And you can also contact us at our website to have a copy sent to you. And our website is www.doyoureallywanttoknowllc.com.
I love it. Alrighty, listeners, now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for our Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guests today are Aaron Cox and Gregory Wright, and we are talking about their book. And you know what? It has one of the best titles that I have heard in a long time. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Do you really want to know why I am not at home? I know. Such an awesome title of a book. But we are talking relationships, and I want for you to be able to get the most out of your relationship. So let's go on and get back to this conversation. So, gentlemen, I have to ask you, and especially coming from the perspective of the male perspective, what do you expect to get out of being in a relationship?
Well, for me, what I expect to get out of a relationship, I expect for my life to be better than it is without me being in a relationship. I mean, many times people get in a relationship and they're not even as happy as they was prior to being in a relationship, and that's for many different reasons. But for me, it has to. I mean, I'm looking for a relationship to to build me up, to help me to achieve some of the things that I want in life, to help me to live the type of life that I want to live.
You made a really good point there. If you were a particular way before you meet someone, it seems like when you meet that someone that it should increase. It should be a little better because together you guys should be able to do more. I like that. Now, so many times people say, I'm happy in a relationship. What do you think people mean by that, or how did you address that in the book? The understanding or the definition of what is it to be happy in a relationship?
Mr. Cox?
Well, I look at the number one thing I think for anyone to be happy in anything they're doing is they have to be themselves. If you can be yourself, and when you ask couples that have been married for years and years and years, if you ask them the number one thing that helped kept them married is that they are able to be themselves. You shouldn't have to change for nobody. Nobody should try to change you. And I personally, I have a little I have a little four corners that I use in any relationship that I'm in, whether it was with my wife or my brother or my friends, or if I'm reading a good book. There's a four there's a four there's a four corners that I use. The first one is God. You have to have a faith and a belief in God or a higher power, because if you don't have that, you really don't have nothing. And then secondly, there's got to be love. You have to have love in your heart. And if you can't love someone, then love yourself. Okay. Then the third one is communication. You have to be a good communicator. You have to know how to communicate. You have to want to communicate, and not just talking back and forth. I'm talking about a communicator. I'm talking about having connected communication where it's a two-way dialogue and everyone is actively involved and engaged in a conversation. And then the last one is the financial piece. A lot of people will believe that money is the most important thing that keeps a marriage together or causes a marriage to fumble. And I tell them all the time, it's not. It's communication. Communication is the key. When you look at, I used to be a flight engineer in the Air Force, and every time a plane accident would happen, I would look at what caused that plane to fall out of the sky. And the majority of the time, it wasn't mechanical failure. It was poor communication. When you look at businesses that go out, companies that go out of business, the business that fell, it's poor communication. Marriages is the same way, poor communication. So that's the little recipe that I use.
I love it. Poor communication. And you're right. It is just more than just being in a human relationship. The things around us must be able to communicate to each other and communicate properly in order to operate in full functionality. I love it. Yes, yes, yes. Now, what do you think? Um, what do you think that many people need to do to make sure that their relationship is all that it can be? Many times, especially as a therapist, we know that communication, finances, and sex are the top three things that kind of can derail your relationship. So what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that our relationships are the best that they can be, and not just our intimate relationships, like with our significant other, but with all the various types of relationships that we have?
Right. Yeah, it goes across the board. I mean, to the relationships in with your family members, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your people on your job. When you're in when you're in a relationship with someone, you have to respect that other individual and respect their views and how they see things, because it's not going to be the same as yours. So if they don't, respond to things the way you particularly would like them to, or you don't respond to them the way you particularly like them to, it's 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 prudent for us to find out why. And that's why communication is so important. Because most of the things we do to cause friction in our relationships at home, we are probably doing the same things with the other relationships we have. So, but if we are unaware of these types of things that we're doing to actually cause friction, then we're powerless to change it. That's why we have to be able to talk with one another. Not argue and fight, but talk.
There's a great tip. Not argue and fight, but talk. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Now, so many times people will say, I'm the quieter of the two, or someone has a larger personality. They're perhaps more controlling than I am, or they may bully me, or those types of words. How do you address that in your book about that bigger personality, that more controlling personality type?
Well,
Greg,
go ahead, Mr. Cox.
No,
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead, Greg. I think that was more aligned to you, Greg. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, no, that's fine. There's several chapters in the book that actually deal with these type of situations, and one of them is called the Seeds of Destruction. And the Seeds of Destruction, the three Seeds of Destruction is do not condemn, complain, or criticize. And when you condemn and complain and criticize to not only your mate but the other people that's in relationships with you, that gives off a air of arrogance, an air of you want to control everything, an air of you think that you're all that and they are less than you and they need to submit to you in some way, some shape or form. And that sets up a real bad vibe, and people feel that, and it causes a breakdown in communication because people not wanting to spend as much time with you as they normally would want to because they really care about you, but they don't feel like being browbeaten and called stupid or being made to feel less than.
You said that, because that is definitely one of the several complaints that we go over in sessions. They're condescending to me, or they talk to me as though they think I'm 5 years old.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
that really that is an important step. Did you want to make a comment as well?
No, I agree, and with what Mr. Wright said, and we have a lot of chapters. Well, a lot of our chapters in the book, they somehow keep pointing back to a lot of things that he said, and again, I just can't emphasize enough that the communication, up front and being friends, because I think if you go into the relationships, in general, as good friends, when everything else breaks down, when the fighting and the fussing and the money and the communication, when all that breaks down, if you're friends, you can always get back to it. But if you were never friends, if you came into it, with I'm trying to get some money out of this, or if the sex is good, that's why I'm here, then it's not going to work. But if you came into it as friends, you can always get back because you're friends first.
Well, Aaron, I'm so glad that you made that additional note, because for so many people, um, they really do not understand how important that is. And you kind of named off all the stuff, the money's right, or the loving is right, and all of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But are you friends with each other? Because if you're not friends with each other, it really and truly is going to make a difference. When everything else goes south, or everything else gets a little funky, that's what's really going to help hold you together. Great point. Great, great, great point. Now, when when one is confronted with an unknown situation, how should you approach that with your partner? You know that something is a little off. You don't know what exactly it is. You may even have your suspicions, but you want to resolve it. You want to make sure, that it's addressed. What do you do in those types of situations?
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good one, Greg. I think you might have experienced that before too, Greg.
oh yeah, a time or two. Yeah, I believe I have. Listen, the number one, I can't put enough emphasis on the fact that number one, you need to know yourself and who you are. And we have a chapter that deals with this question that you just brought up. And the chapter is called Stinking Thinking. And I happen to believe that it is one of the underlying and major causes of problems in all different types of relationships. A situation pops up, and right away in your mind, you're thinking that, okay, it's like this, or it's like that, or it's like that. At that point in time, before you even go and confront or talk to the individual that you're having the issue with, you need to ask yourself, where did that thought come from? Because you are being constantly programmed and bombarded with all different type of information from the TV shows you watch, from the radio programs you listen to, from the things that you see go on every single day. And it has caused people to have things in their mind that is not based on fact. So when they go and bring that to the individual that they have an issue with, and there's nothing true about it, it causes a real problem, because this other person say, well, where did you get that from? And now we got a problem.
So true. So true. So true. And I know, listeners, you are nodding your heads because either it has happened to you or you are the person who has said that. Where are you getting that? Who told you that? Why did you think that? It's just so off into left field because you've presumptions and assumptions. Now, this is Safe Talk Radio, but remember that good old quote that they say, when you make assumptions, you make,
That's right. You got it.
You and me.
Well, not only that, assumptions is the lowest form of knowledge that there is.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
That's good. Tweetable moment there. That we should. There's nothing like being sure. It's funny that we can choose to confirm a lot of other things with the people in our lives, but many times that one thing that we really need to have a good heart-to-heart on, we would rather stew in our assumptions about it than actually find out the truth, as though some people just wish to be upset about it or want to have a reason not to do something else because they feel some kind of way about something they don't even know the truth
Exactly.
about. So,
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one. What a wonderful place. It is time for us to take a break. And, that gives you guys, listening audience, a few minutes to think about that. If you would, please, Greg or Aaron, please, can you remind everyone what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And how do we follow you online?
Okay. Again, the title is Do You Really Want to Know Why I'm Not at Home? And that book can be purchased online at Amazon, at Barnes & Nobles, at various different venues online. It can also be purchased at our website, www.doyoureallywantoknowllc.com.
Alrighty, listeners, now you know where you can pick up a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
Discovery, not just a sec.
What would it look like if we listened more? Could the right voice, the right set of words, bring us all just a little closer? Get us to open up? Even push us further? It could, if we took the time to listen. The most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories. Download Audible and listen for a change.
Hi everyone, Dr. Angela here. Did you know that Daily Spark is now on Facebook? That's right, you can visit with me at facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I want to know more about what you're thinking. I'd love to know which interview did you find the most entertaining or the most informative. I want to talk to you, and I want you to be able to talk to me. Simply visit facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
And we are back. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. We are talking about relationships today, and my guests are Gregory Wright and Aaron Cox, and we are talking about their book that has one of the best titles that I have read. It is, Do You Really Want to Know Why I Am Not at Home? I know, great title, right? So go on. I hope you were able to refill your coffee or your tea, because we have some more conversation to have. Now, Gregory and Aaron, the next question that I have for you is, do you feel that you and your significant other have effective communication? And if so, why? And I think we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier that that you guys do, but why do you think that it's effective, and how did you get there?
Greg?
No, she asked Mr. Cox.
Oh, okay, great. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I believe that my wife and we do have effective communication. And just to let the viewers know, when I say effective communication, what I basically mean is when both parties, and I said this earlier, they are involved and engaged, and they come to an understanding of what is to be discussed. Okay, not getting derailed by something that happened 10 years ago, to stay in that moment. Okay, we are human beings, so we need to be in the moment, and not just like I said, talking or just trying to get a point across. You see a lot of people, they're not listening; they're just trying to get a point across. And then, and in the beginning of my marriage, I used to find myself not listening to what she's saying, but just in my mind, looking at her and preparing my next statement to sound intelligent for her next statement. So now I'm more of a human being, and I'm being in the moment, and I've taken all my biases away, and I'm listening to what she's saying, and I'm answering that in question. I'm not looking at my cell phone. I don't have one eye on the television. She's not talking to my back. We are engaged. We are optically committed, and that makes the communication come across so clear to me that when I answer her, she knows through all 5 of her senses that I've got it.
Another great tip. I'm telling you, your book is amazing, because anyone who's gone through counseling, you know that your therapist has told you, stop waiting for the moment to jump in. Like you said, Mr. Cox, it was a matter of you pausing, like where can I get my jab in? Where can I say, nope, you're wrong? And instead of listening to the full statement, you're just waiting for your moment to jump in with your rebuttal. I love that. Thank you for reminding the audience of that. Now, for some people, they may say, well, I'm uncomfortable with confrontation. I just want to get along. I want everyone happy. I don't want any drama in my household. For the person who feels that way, how can they be the best partner, the best person that they can be in a relationship and still feel comfortable when there's an issue that needs to be addressed?
Well, let me answer that one. We have a chapter in the book called "Go Take Your Cojones." It's not a negative chapter. It's actually a funny, very
I'm sorry.
realistic chapter.
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna cut you off for 1 second. You both kind of muted out. It's like you dropped it for a second. It was really weird. The whole board kind of went black there. So I'm going to pause for a count of 3 so that there's a big space. And I will count you in. So I'm going to pause for a count of 3. And then I'm going to count you in for a count of 3. And then please give your answer. Okay? So here we go. 3, 2.
Okay, so we have a chapter in the book called "Go Take Your Cojones Out of Her Purse," and this is a fun chapter. Everybody love it. It's the very first chapter in the book, and what it talks about is that your woman does not want you to be passive. She does not want a man to be passive. She wants him to speak up. She don't want him to agree with everything she says. And the reason I know that is because when she dumps you for agreeing with everything that you say and just being just totally in line with everything she wants to do, when she dumps you, watch what she goes out and dates next. Something totally opposite from what you want.
Correct. That is so true. And it's really funny because people say that they want someone who agrees with them more than disagrees with them. But in actuality, that's not necessarily true. You do want someone who has opposing positions many times, or can give you a different thought process or a different point of view, just to be able to mix it up a little bit. Another great point. Now, do you feel like the ability, the option of being able to tell your partner any and everything, do you feel that that's important? Should it carry the weight that it carries in general conversation?
I didn't hear that question properly. I'm sorry, man.
No worries. In fact, let me pause because perhaps it was on my end. So let me pause for a moment and then I'll ask again. So my next question for you is, when it comes to being able to share or tell your partner any and everything, do you think that that's important? You know, we say it is in general conversation, but then we get into relationships and many times people don't actually do that. How do we address that? Being able to tell our partners anything.
Well, I mean, that starts with, I'll say it again, you knowing yourself and coming to your own power. We have to realize that we was born with a spirit of power, okay? And that's not to use that power to belittle someone or to be more than someone, but your life matters, okay? And you should be able to express yourself, and you have to when you get with a person, these are the type of things you should be looking at the beginning instead of looking at the agenda down the road or what you're going to get or what you're going to receive. You should be looking at whether can just come to this person and talk, because that's vitally important. There's so many times when things happen that, it throws you for a loop and it makes you, feel different ways, sometimes sad, sometimes bad. If you don't feel that you can communicate that with the person that you are sharing a tremendous amount of time and space with, that's a serious problem, because your relationship will never be all that it can be. And they will never get to know who you are. If you're going around and you have to talk to somebody else about an issue, man, you ought to rethink this. You really do.
I like that. You shouldn't have to go to the other person. You should be able to go to that person. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, for some people, um, and let me ask the question before I put my 2 cents worth in there. Uh, they say that, and especially women have a tendency to fall victim to this. Sorry, ladies, but I have to ask the question: is that they expect for their men to be mind readers. They expect for them to know what the problem is. When he asks, "Hun, what's wrong, babe? You are right," and she says, "You should know what's wrong with me." My question to you is, if something is troubling you, should you bring it up with your partner, or should the partner come to you first? Is there a right or a wrong way to deal with this? And the research that you've done and how you address it in the book, what's the answer there?
Well, yeah, I'll take this one. First of all, when you're in a sound relationship, you should be able to speak about anything. If you have to walk on eggshells, then there's some other issues. There's some other underlying issues. If there's going to be some tension or some nervousness about bringing something up. I always think about it this way. If my wife has something that's really eating her up, she comes and she wants to talk about it. She's not really looking for me to give her an answer. She's not looking for me to turn to Dr. Aaron and break down her problem. Sometimes she just will feel good about just saying what's going on, and she'll feel much better just letting me know that she's discussed it. She's not looking for me to solve it. She's not looking for me to give her answers. She's not looking for me to pull out the dictionary or go to Google. No, she just wants someone to listen. Because if she doesn't get it from you, she's gonna go get it from that other guy. So you just do your time and just hear her out, and then wait for her to ask your opinion. And I tell this to guys all the time: stop trying to be Mr. Fix It all the time. Just let her talk. She'll be okay. She'll vent it off, and you'll come out looking like this superstar. You know, you'll come out looking like the man.
You know, I'm so glad that you said that, because for just being who we are naturally, you know, men being men and women being women, understanding the dynamic of how we solve problems and how we communicate with each other. You know, sometimes you have to be reminded of that. Women quite naturally want to vent as a way of coming to a solution. We kind of think out loud when we're figuring things out. And you're right, you know, to be able to turn to your husband or your significant other and be able to say, "Babe, you know what she did today, and she said, and she did," and his response is, "What? She did that to you?" Yeah. And you know, she's like, "Oh, I got the best man in the world." Yes. If for someone who was wondering, is that really true? Absolutely. Because you feel as though your man is on your side. And even if you kind of need some correction or a different perspective, you know, that can come later. You know, but in the moment, to be able to hear that he has your back, that's a part of that beautiful protection that you guys provide for us. I love it. It has been such a joy to speak with both of you. We have about a minute left in the show, and I want to give you both an opportunity, if there is a takeaway that you want for our listeners to kind of roll around until they're able to get their copy of the book. Hint, hint. What would that be?
Okay, I'll start first. My takeaway would be to get the book. It covers everything. It covers all the major issues that deals with relationships. You will see yourself in this book. You will see your partner in this book, and you can together work through the chapters, and you can shed some light. And you don't even have to be the bad guy. We'll be the bad guy in the book. We don't mind that at all. So this way, nobody comes out with any scars or bruises. But I guarantee you that you will see something in there that you can learn and grow and share and have a very prosperous relationship. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, listen. This the book is awesome, and it goes over a lot of things. But when it really comes to light, is what we have done. We do a live interactive relationship workshop in which we put people in these scenarios and in a live setting. Now, when they see this, it really brings the book home, and it takes away all the misconceptions, all the misunderstandings, and you have an actual working knowledge of exactly what went on. So it's not your first time going through this. Now, that is a game changer for this book and for everybody that comes to these workshops. If you can contact us on our website, we can set one up for you.
I love it. One last time, gentlemen, please, if you could remind everyone, what is the title of the book? Where can we pick up a copy? And how do we stay in contact with you?
Yes, the title of the book is Do You Really Want to Know Why I'm Not at Home? And our website is www.doyoureallywantoknowllc.com. You can contact us there. You can leave a message. You can purchase the book. You can also purchase the book online, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, all the online retailers, and in some big bookstores.
And the subtitle is A Plea for Change.
Thank you guys so much for not only being on the show, but I also want to say thank you so much for your service in the military and for making sure that we are safe as American citizens. So thank you. A salute to your service. And also, just a big handshake and hug for being real about a book about relationships and letting everyone know that they can be their best. I love it. Thank you so much again, Aaron Cox and Gregory Wright.
Thank you, Dr. Chester.
Thank you so much.
And listeners, thank you as well for tuning in and spending some time with me here today. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, be blessed in the Lord. Bye-bye.